The family court system is broken. Its guidelines are flawed and its laws are outdated. It often shows a bias of one parent over the other and frequently prioritizes the collection of child support over doing what's actually in the best interest of our children. Unfortunately, the traditional family unit is slowly moving into extinction and thus giving the family court more and more power with every generation. The harsh reality is that while we complain about this broken system, we as co-parents are the ones who help break it. Through our refusal to effectively co-parent with one another, and in some cases, our refusal to financially support our children, we are the ones that have given the family court so much power. It's time that we demand better from the system. It's time that we demand better from ourselves and take responsibility for our actions or lack thereof. Welcome to the Held Accountable Podcast.
Man, we gotta come together, but we still fight. I see the future for the kids, but it ain't looking right. So we gotta rise up, stand up for one another. I'm talking to the black mothers and brothers. The world's going crazy cause these kids ain't got no guidance. Mama tell them no, but that man just keeps on trying. The fathers choose to lead to the kids, he always lying. Now mama all alone, raising kids on her own, and the system is against us, so we gotta be strong.
According to a 2018 study performed by the Pew Research Center, 23% of all children living in the U.S. that were under the age of 18 were living in a single-parent household. This was the highest percentage amongst all the countries in the entire world. So you can better understand the severity of that statistic, that means 1 in every 4 children in the U.S. under the age of 18 are either a product of a broken home or born into a home that never had both parents in it to start with. Then, according to the U.S. Census Bureau, 5 years later, that percentage had increased to 1 out of every 3 children. Now, what makes matters worse is that our state governments are actually profiting off our broken homes in the way of monetary incentives and federal kickbacks for the collection of child support. It's a little known fact that here in the U.S., our states collect a combined total of approximately $32 billion per year in child support, with leaders being states like California, who annually collects $2 billion, and Texas, who brings in an average of $4 billion every year. Just so you know, there are several reasons why this information is so important, but one of the most relevant reasons are the fact that child support and visitation are the 2 biggest obstacles to overcome when trying to build a positive co-parent relationship. And it's a simple known fact that a negative co-parent or adversarial co-parent relationship brings in far much more money to the family court system. So what do we do about this? Well, there are individuals out there that believe that we don't do anything about it. They feel that the traditional family is an old-fashioned concept, and they prefer to actually raise their children from separate homes. Many of them believe that the decline in the numbers of traditional families has not had a negative effect on society or on our communities. And to them, I feel that if they truly believe that, it's because they haven't taken a look at social media, news reports, or even talk shows over the last 10 to 15 years.
Baby daddies, are you ready for court? Cause I need you to pay your child support.
But the crazy thing about it is they want me to be responsible for some children I told them I did not want.
One burger, one fry?
What he like? What do you mean?
Okay, what about my other kids?
What about your other kids?
Come on. Let him know what y'all said. Y'all don't want to go. Let him know, because I'm not for the force it. Let him know. I'm not going to force y'all.
We don't want to go with you. We don't want to go with you. We don't want to go with you.
What exactly is parental alienation?
It's a family dynamic in which a child's been manipulated by one parent to reject the other parent who did nothing to deserve the rejection.
Fatherless sons is a crisis in our country, particularly in the African American community. It is an epidemic. It is an epidemic. And what we just saw when we opened the show, the statistics of men in prison is directly related to fatherless homes.
You are the father! You are the father!
You are not.
You are the father!
You are not the father.
happening to men across Michigan. They are being forced to pay child support as dads by default.
Doesn't matter if the men can prove the children are not theirs. Michigan law makes them pay anyway.
Last year, Florida collected and distributed $1.6 billion in child support.
The more child support the state can reel in, the more the federal government pays the states. It's a business, you guys. You think?
Well, a Houston father is facing 180 days in jail for overpaying his child support and over-visiting his 11-year-old son.
Mom is gonna go get a drink with child support money. She should get that drink. It's really good being a mom. I don't know about getting a drink on child support money. I'm sorry.
A perspective you almost never hear. A deadbeat dad speaks from prison.
What do you say to people that say, we are paying as taxpayers because of people like you?
I have to say they're right.
Even though I won Father of the Year award for 2014, award through Committed Fathers Alliance, I'm going to jail for doing everything in my power to raise my son. This could happen to anyone.
Breaking news in the shooting death of an unarmed black man in South Carolina.
Unpaid child support piled up, and according to South Carolina authorities, a warrant was issued for his arrest. That may be why, says the Scott family attorney, he ran from Officer Michael Slager.
How sad is that? This man literally lost his life running away from the family court and child support. And those other stories and those clips, that's just the tip of the iceberg of what's going on in our society, and the family court is in the center of it. So I can already hear some of you saying, here we go again. Just another guy complaining about the family court system because he doesn't want to pay his child support. But that's not at all what I'm doing. I believe that child support and the family court are both necessary. But what's not necessary is the way that the family court operates. Let me try and explain this to you another way. Are police necessary? Yes. Is the criminal court system necessary? Absolutely. But on the flip side, does racial profiling exist? Yes. Does mass incarceration exist? Yes. Do judges taking bribes exist? Yes. Does police corruption, police brutality all exist? Yes and yes. So why is it so hard to think that if that type of injustice exists in the criminal court system, that it hasn't translated over to the family court system? Now, we do have to keep in mind that there are a lot of cases where unequal treatment is shown towards a specific gender and or a specific race. But myself and a whole lot of other parents feel that 9 times out of 10, it's all about the money. More often than not, it simply comes down to which parent can afford the better attorney, or which parent will be able to account for the largest sum of money being paid into the system prior to the child's 18th birthday. It's for that reason that parental rights and children's best interests are often ignored, and thus the major reason we say the system is broken. Unfortunately, there is no way I can put all the blame on the family court. We as co-parents have played a major role in just how bad the co-parent relationship is today. And I can sit here all day and talk about the problems and the issues, but I live by the philosophy that if you're not part of the solution, then you're part of the problem. And my proposed solution has 3 phases: awareness, education, and strategic action. I hope to raise everyone's awareness of the overall state of the family dynamic as it pertains to the family court. Judges need to be made aware of how their rulings actually affect the households. Politicians should be aware that some of these family laws are unconstitutional. Parents need to be aware of how their actions impact their children. And the public needs to be made aware of just how bad the family court system really is. Stories like Walter Scott, Clifford Hall, Carnell Alexander, and even my own. Then maybe they will understand the need for change. Then there's the education piece. Both mothers and fathers need to be taught how this system actually works. They need to know what their rights are as a parent. And then, most important, parents need to be educated on strategies that could help them build a more positive co-parent relationship. And by learning these strategies in co-parenting, They can do what the family court has failed to do time and time again, and that's act in the best interest of our children. And the final piece is our strategic action, which includes engaging our local, state, and federal governments. We need to meet with our state representatives and get them to propose new amendments and bills that are not only more aligned with our children's needs, but also provide equal treatment for both parents. We need people willing to go before Congress and advocate for reform. And most important, we need to all get out there and vote to make sure that the right people are in the right position to bring about the change we need. Something as simple and basic as voting for the right family court judge in your county can go a long way in helping fix this broken system. So if you want to bring about change to that system, what steps are you willing to take? Have you realized yet that the real change starts with us? Are you ready to acknowledge that as parents, we are not perfect, and we all could benefit from supporting each other instead of judging each other? The goal of this podcast isn't just to tear down the system, it's also to help support those parents who are trying their best every day. So I ask that you stick around and check out episode 2, in which I'll be having a deep conversation with licensed therapist Courtney, and we will discuss some of the pitfalls that may come about in co-parenting. And by tuning into our conversation, you might gain some insight into what's causing your adversarial co-parent relationship in the first place, and thus maybe be able to take steps to prevent the family court from getting involved. And remember, while the family court doesn't always act in the best interest of our children, make sure the same thing can't be said about you, because one day we will all be held accountable.
Order in the court.